In today's video, we're going to be going over pressure in fluids. Now, before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Step by Step Science. Get all my excellent physics, chemistry, and math videos. When I look at my YouTube analytics, once again, I see that more than 90% of people who watch my videos have not subscribed. Please subscribe. Click the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and don't forget to share this video. And in addition to that, I made a bunch of other teaching and learning materials, which you can find on my teacher's website. We're looking for notes, problem sets, example problems with all the answers, activities you can do with online simulations, puzzles, all that stuff you can find on my Teachers Pay Teachers website. The link is in the description below. And of course, I made other videos for this topic, which you can link to in the upper right-hand corner of this video. And of course, let's just start with pressure. Now, before we talk about pressure in fluids, let's just talk about pressure in general, come up with a good definition for pressure, which we're going to say that pressure is defined as the amount of force per unit of area. Okay, it's not just force, it's force per unit of area, which gives us the equation P for pressure, F for force, which will be measured in newtons, and A for area, which must be given into the equation in meters. A lot of times you'll give a problem where the dimensions are given in centimeters or millimeters. You need to convert those first before you put them into the equation to meters. And so that gives us the units for pressure is the Newton per meter squared, which we call the Pascal after Blaise Pascal. The abbreviation for the Pascal is PA with a capital P, and 1 Pascal is 1 Newton of force per meter squared. And don't forget that pressure is a scalar, not a vector, so you only need to give its magnitude. It does not need a direction. Okay, so that's the basics. And then we often see these other units that are used. There are other common units. The Pascal is the SI unit for pressure in the metric system, which is 1 Pascal, we just said is 1 Newton per meter squared. But you will see things like atmospheres. Okay, that's for atmospheric pressure. That's the pressure, mean sea level atmospheric pressure on Earth, and that's equal to 101,325 pascals, which we often write as 101.325 kilopascals. And then we also have atmospheric pressure measured in millimeters of mercury. Mercury was used in the first kind of manometers, pressure gauges, and they were kind of the first accurate pressure gauges. And 1 atmosphere is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury. And then also 1 atmosphere is equal to 14.7 pounds per square inch in the English system. And then we have a torr, and we have that a torr is just about 1 millimeter of mercury, which is 133.32 pascals. If you just take the number of pascals divided by 760 in 1 atmosphere, then you'll get that 1 millimeter of mercury is 133.32 pascals, like that. Okay, so that's the basics and the units, which we'll use in some of our problems. Let's do a quick problem right here. And this is example number 1. Let's just say that I have a mass of 95 kilograms. And we want to know what is the pressure applied to the ground when I stand on the ground by my feet. And there are my feet. And we have pressure is equal to the force per unit of area. And let's see, we're given the kilograms, but since we're talking about gravitation and gravitational pressure, so to speak, we can convert that into the force is equal to mg using Newton's second law of motion. And it's the mass, m, times the acceleration due to gravity, and the area is the length and the width of my feet. Now, my feet aren't exactly square or rectangular, but we can approximate with the length times the width. And that means that the pressure is going to be equal to 95 kilograms times 9.81 meters per second squared, the mass times the acceleration due to gravity, divided by the area of my 2 feet. So I have 2 feet, and each one is about 30 centimeters long, 0.3 meters, and 10 centimeters wide, 0.1 meters. And if you do that, you get about 1.55 times 10 to the 4 pascals, newtons per meter, which is about 15,500 newtons of force per meter squared. And yeah, that might sound like a lot, but remember, atmospheric pressure is 101,000 pascals, so not too much. And if I was to then stand on 1 foot, then it would be twice as much because I have the same force, the same mass, the same weight, the same force applied to half the area. So it'd be about 31,000 pascals. Remember here that you can see from the equation that the pressure is directly proportional to the force and inversely proportional to the area. Okay, so that's the basics, and then one simple problem like that. And let's go over some particular things that you should know about pressure in fluids. Okay, there are two kinds of fluids, or two things we consider to be fluids: gases and liquids. Okay, gases and liquids are fluids, and fluids can exert a pressure in any direction. So if you have like a balloon, the pressure is the same in every direction inside the balloon. If you squeeze the balloon, you get more pressure in every direction. And that the force from a fluid acts perpendicular to a solid surface. So if you have a balloon or a container or something, a bottle, then the force is always perpendicular to the surface. For example, if we have like this container, this cylinder, and let's say it has some liquid in it, that yellow liquid, and then we put a cover on it like that, and then we apply a force downward like that, then we're going to be increasing the pressure, and the pressure will be equal in all directions, and it will be perpendicular to the surface of that solid container like that. Okay, and then let's just see if we have at a given depth. Okay, if we're talking about in a gas or in a liquid, at a given depth, the pressure is the same in every direction. So let's say again we have like a beaker and we have some point. A lot of times you'll see it's like a small cube, but this is some point that's right there, very small point that's there inside that liquid, and that liquid is down there at that level, and that in every direction, okay, the pressure is the same. It doesn't matter that it's closer to the bottom than it is the top, or closer to one side than the other. Even if it was on the bottom, the pressure is the same in every direction. So those last two things are important to remember, especially when we're talking about pressure in fluids. Okay, so that's kind of the background, and now we're going to go through and derive a couple equations. So we said that at a given depth, the pressure is the same in every direction. Now I'm going to go through and show you how to derive this equation for the pressure. Sometimes textbooks just give it to you. I think it's an interesting derivation, how we come up with the equation for the pressure. And we're just going to start out with our pressure equation, that the pressure is equal to the force divided by the area. And what we're going to be finding is we're going to find the pressure at this level where this cube is right here, but we're going to find the pressure at this depth, which we call height h, but it's actually the depth. And that pressure is on that area, the top surface of that cube, and its pressure is coming from the weight of the water, that column of water above that cube. Okay, and as we'll talk about in a moment, it doesn't really matter that we have this object here or not, but we're going to be finding the pressure at this depth right here. It could be anywhere along here like that. Okay, but I'm going to show you how we derive this equation using this principle. The pressure is the force divided by the area. The pressure comes from the force of this column of water, which has a mass, and it's on Earth. So the force from that is the mass times the acceleration due to gravity. Okay, that column of water is exerting a force on that area, some pressure. All right, so we're going to substitute that into our equation. Now we have the pressure is equal to the mass. It's the mass of this water and the acceleration due to gravity times the acceleration due to gravity. It's not the mass of the cube. You got to remember we have the cube and we have the water, and those are two different things, and we got to keep them separate. And then we have the area here like this, and now we can substitute in something here for the mass because we know the density. This is the equation for density. This is the symbol, the Greek letter rho. This is the official symbol for density. Sometimes you see a lot of people will use a D, but in this case we use the official symbol rho, and the density is equal to the mass divided by the volume. Well, that means that the mass of this column of water is equal to the density of that water times its volume. So now I'm going to take this density times volume and substitute it into here, our pressure equation, and then you get that the pressure is equal to the density of the liquid, because the liquid is completely surrounding the object, times the volume. The volume is this volume of water that's above that surface, times the acceleration due to gravity, divided by the area. And in this case, this A is the area of this cube right here, like that. Okay? All right, now we're going to go on to the next page, and we know that the volume, that's the volume of this water that's above that column of water that's above the surface of that cube is equal to the area times the height, the base times the height. That's the volume for a lot of kind of rectangular, even a cylinder, I would say regular geometric objects. It's the area times the height. So now I can take this term and substitute it into here, and then I get that the density, the pressure is equal to the density of the liquid times the area of this surface here, which is times the height, which is the volume, times the acceleration due to gravity, divided by A. Okay, now let's just point out this A is officially the area of the base of this column of water. This area right here is officially the upper surface of this cube. Well, those two areas are equal to each other. So we can cancel those, and then we come up with the pressure is equal to the density of the liquid times G times the height being the depth below that we're talking. Okay, so the pressure would be the same everywhere. So this is the equation that we use to calculate the pressure. All right, remember, rho density is the density of the liquid, not the density of this cube. H is the height below the surface, which we call the depth. So this is the depth in this case, but we use a H here. It's very interesting with that equation that the pressure does not depend on the area. Okay, it doesn't depend on this area. It doesn't depend on the volume or the mass. All it depends on is the density of the liquid, the acceleration due to gravity, and the depth that the object is below. And really, that would be the pressure anywhere along this depth, at any depth, okay? Like that. Okay, so that's the equation for pressure. Now, oftentimes we talk about changes in pressure. So now we have the same diagram here. We want to talk what is the change in pressure with this change in height when we go from here to the bottom, because that we're at a different depth. Really, we're only changing the depth. It's the same liquid, the same acceleration due to gravity. So we're going to start out with our pressure equation, and we're going to take that the change in the pressure. Now, the change in the pressure comes from this depth to this depth. And that is pressure number 2, which will be down here at the bottom, minus pressure number 1, because as we go down deeper, okay, therefore we're going to have a greater pressure. And then we can substitute those two equations, this equation in for both of these two. And then you can see that this rho and this density are the same. This G and this G are the same. The heights are different. So now we're going to factor out, and we can say that that is the change in the height. So this is not the pressure at this depth, but this is the change in the pressure as we go from this height to this height. Is going to be the density of liquid times the acceleration due to gravity times the change in the height. Right? You could calculate, okay, what's the density at the top, at the top of that cube? What's the density? Excuse me, what's the pressure at the top? What's the pressure at the bottom? And subtract them. But it's just rho times G times the change in the height. All right? Just like that. Now, let's do a simple, relatively simple example problem here. This is example number 2. They're going to be 2 parts. So this is A. We want to know what is the total pressure on this scuba diver's back. If that scuba diver, if she is 5.75 meters below the surface of a lake. So it's a lake, so it's fresh water, not salt water, which have a little bit different density. But we're going to find the pressure. Okay, now it does say here the total pressure. So and sometimes you'll see the total pressure, and that means they want the atmospheric pressure plus the pressure due to the depth below the water. So PA stands for atmospheric pressure, and this is plus the pressure from the water, because you got to remember when you're on the surface of the earth, you don't feel it because you grew up with it, but there is pressure, a large amount of pressure on your body just due to the atmosphere, because there's an atmosphere above you and you're at some depth below that atmosphere, and that atmosphere exerts a pressure on your body in all directions. So now we can calculate that. Now this is atmospheric pressure is 101 times 10 to the 5 pascals. Okay, that's atmospheric pressure, the number of pascals at sea level, plus, okay, now the density of water, the density has to be given in kilograms per meter cubed. So it's 1,000 kilograms per meter cubed times the acceleration due to gravity, which is 9.81, times the depth, which we said is 5.75 meters. And that gives us that would be 1.57 times 10 to the 5 pascals. Now that might sound like a lot. That's 157,000 pascals. But remember, once again, atmospheric pressure is 101,000. So it's really the water is the extra 57,000, 56,000. So that's the pressure on that scuba diver's back per meter. Because remember, pascals is newtons per meter squared. But most scuba divers and most people don't have a back. That's a square meter. Your back isn't a meter by a meter. So let's calculate the total force. So here is the pressure that we calculated, 1.6 times 10 to the 5 pascals. Excuse me. In the previous example, the previous page I had 5.7, but we just rounded in this case. And then we're going to find the equation for the force. So the equation for the force is equal to the pressure times the area. And we're going to put the pressure in there at 1.6 times 10 to the 5. Now, I changed the unit from pascals to newtons per meter squared because you can see here, when we multiply that times the area, we can see that the area, we can say your back is approximately 60 centimeters long and 40 centimeters wide. And you can see that that will cancel the meter squared with these meters squared over here. And you get that the force is actually 38,400 newtons. Okay, and you might notice that 38,400 is a quarter of the total pressure because when you multiply 0.6 times 0.4, you get about 2.5. So that's a quarter of a meter. So you get a quarter of the total that we had on the previous slide of 157,000. Okay, so there you go. Hope you found the video helpful. If you did, please do all of the following 5 things. Please subscribe to my channel, support my channel, Step-by-Step Science. You should click the notification bell so you don't miss anything. You should give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and don't forget that sharing is caring. Share this video with all your friends and show them just how much you care. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.